Hi, good evening. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the November 17th, 2020 School Board meeting. The time is 6 p.m. and this meeting is called to order. Pursuant to Florida Statutes 1001.371, the Superintendent acts as the Chairman until the organization of the Board has been completed. At this time, we request all electronic devices be turned off or put in the silent mode. Also, we ask that you please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentation portion of the meeting. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential and the district's vision to be a world-class school system. As is the custom of the board, we will begin the meeting with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mrs. Kathleen Morgan. Please stand for the moment of silence. And now for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. As I stated earlier, according to the Florida statutes, I will act as chairman until the organization of the board takes place. Before continuing the meeting, as is tradition, we present a plaque to the outgoing chairman, in this case, Ms. Mary Fisher, in appreciation for your service for the last year. And I believe she's on the phone today, so is that correct, Mrs. Fisher?
Yes,
Ms. Fisher?
yes, I'm on the line, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Okay, at this time, I will open and close nominations for chairman and vice chairman.
I nominate Debbie.
Each will be followed by a vote. I will then make a recommendation for the establishment of dates and times for the board's schedule of a regular board meeting. Attorney Dupree Bruno, please explain the nomination and voting process.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins, and also for the board to know that Ms. Fisher will be allowed to vote pursuant to Board Policy 1.11 because she does meet that criteria. In the nomination and voting process, the board will follow the laws mandating open governance. In addition, school board policy provides that the board follow Robert's Rules of Order. Thus, the nomination and voting process is as follows. The superintendent will call for nominations for the position of chairman of the board. Once all of the nominations have been received, he will close the nominations and the board's secretary will take a roll call vote. The vote will be taken in the order that the nominations were received. Each member will signify their vote by stating aye or nay. Yes or no is also acceptable. We will continue this process until a nominee receives a majority vote of the board. Nominations do not require a second. Once the chairman has been elected, we will move forward with the same process for the vice chair position.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Dupree Bruno. I will now accept nominations for chairman of the board for the coming year.
I nominate Debbie Jordan as chair.
Okay, Debbie Jordan, chair.
Dr. Atkins, you have to recognize the person first so they have the floor.
She had her hand up first.
She had her hand up first.
Okay, go ahead.
I nominate Melissa Giovanelli.
Ms. Giovanelli.
I nominate Debbie Jordan.
Ms. Debbie Jordan. Okay, nominations are now closed. Mrs. Thomas, please take roll call vote.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes,
How would you like to vote?
The nomination that is on the floor at this time is for Melissa Giovanelli.
this is Ms. Fisher, my vote is nay.
Is next Ms. Giovanelli? Do I call Ms. Giovanelli or do I skip to the next? Ms. Giovanelli? Ms. Giovanelli?
Yes.
Ms. Jordan?
Nay.
Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Ms. Gittens?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
And Ms. Morgan?
No.
Dr. Atkins, it's not a majority vote. We will now move to the nomination of Debbie Jordan.
Ms. Fisher?
Aye.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Nay.
Ms. Patrica?
Yes, please.
Ms. Vaughn?
No.
Ms. Gittens?
Nay.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Ms. Morgan?
Aye.
Dr. Atkins, by majority vote, Ms. Debbie Jordan is the new chairman of the board.
Okay, thank you. I'll now accept nominations for vice chairman of the board for the coming year. Ms. Morgan.
I nominate Chris Patrica.
Ms. Patrica. Ms. Gittens.
I nominate Ms. Giovanelli.
Ms. Giovanelli.
Nominate Betsy Vaughn.
And Ms. Vaughn. Any more? Okay, I close the nominations. Ms. Thomas, please take the roll call.
Ms. Fisher?
Just to make sure that this nomination is for Chris Patrica.
Ms. Fisher?
Ms. Fisher, I vote nay.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Nay.
Ms. Patrica?
Yes, please.
Ms. Vaughn?
No.
Ms. Gittens?
Nay.
Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Morgan?
Aye.
Dr. Atkins, there was not a majority vote. We will go to the next nomination of Melissa Giovanelli.
Ms. Fisher?
Aye.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Nay.
Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Ms. Vaughn?
Nay.
Ms. Gittens?
And I'm sorry, this is for Ms. Giovanelli?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Ms. Jordan?
Nay.
Ms. Morgan?
Nay.
Dr. Atkins, there was not a majority vote. We will now go to the nomination of Ms. Betsy Vaughn for vice chair.
Ms. Fisher?
Nay.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Yes.
Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Gittens?
Yes.
Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Morgan?
Nay.
Dr. Atkins, by majority vote, Ms. Betsy Vaughn is the vice chairman.
Okay, thank you. So let me just say congratulations to our new chair, Debbie Jordan, and our new vice chair, Betsy Vaughn. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Fisher, as outgoing chairman, would you like to say anything before I turn over the gavel gladly to Ms. Jordan?
Yes, thank you. First of all, congratulations to our re-elected board members. As I pass the gavel to Debbie Jordan, I thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to serve as your chair for the past year. I have reviewed the unique activities we have shared during this time, and I am reminded of the many ways that each of you contributes each day to the education we provide our students. As I reflect on the changes and challenges of the past year, I am reminded that while the heart of this board is in the right place, how important collaboration will be in moving the district forward. With a steady focus on the district's mission and vision, along with the strategic plan, we will do what is best for kids and this community. I have seen the thoughtful collaborative work in the development of the curriculum, student services and operations, and in the growing efforts of the superintendent and all departmental staff to advance not only themselves, but their colleagues. Community partnerships have been developed and nurtured and are at an all-time high. I have been blessed to get to know many of you personally, and I thank you for your friendship and for the opportunities I have had to learn from you and your work. For all who provided support, advice, and patience, I am grateful. I look forward to working with this board for the remainder of my term. God bless you.
Thank you. I will now turn the meeting over to the chairman of the board, Ms. Debbie Jordan.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. The next item on the organization of the board is to establish dates and time for the schedule and regular school board meetings for the issuing year. Dr. Atkins, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, I recommend the board approve the calendar establishing the meeting dates and times for the regular school board meetings for the period of January 2021 through December 2021 as presented.
Board members, is there a motion to approve? Ms. Vaughn? Ms. Vaughn?
I move to approve the new calendar for regular school board meetings.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second? By Ms. Gittens?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Please vote.
Okay, board members, just so you know that you can vote on board docs, record your votes on board docs.
Thank you.
Ms. Fisher, how would you like to vote?
I would like to vote yes.
And that's all I get. I don't get any tonight's agenda. I don't get agenda.
Ms. Gittens, how would you like to vote?
Vote yes. I'm having difficulty with the computer, so yes.
Okay, it passes 7-0. Motion carries. Approval of the agenda. The remainder of this evening agenda includes public comments, consent items, which include 2 items under executive services, one of which is good cause. Dr. Atkins, please provide an explanation for this one item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The good cause item is the approval of the memorandum of understanding with Lee Health. This is an MOU to help the school district with its partnership with Lee Health to provide COVID-19 rapid testing to the district at no cost to the district. And the execution of this contract is literally just occurred. We had approval from the county just this morning, so that's why it's moving forward to the board today.
Thank you. As presiding officer, I find there is good cause to add this one item to the agenda. 8 items under academic services, one of which is good cause. Dr. Atkins, please provide an explanation for this one item.
And this is another agreement that we have with Lee Health. This one has to do with the approval for athletic trainers for the period of 196 days for this school year. So to get this implemented as quickly as possible, we need to get it before the board.
Thank you. As presiding officer, I find there is good cause to add this one item to the agenda. 10 items under business services, 4 items under human services, one of which is good cause. Dr. Atkins, please provide explanation for this one item.
This one item has to do with the appointment of principals to 2 schools. So these are appointments that are just now coming before the board and need to be we need to make this recommendation and have it agreed upon so we can put these principals into those schools as quickly as possible.
Thank you. As presiding officer, I find there is good cause to add this one item to the agenda. 1 item under information systems, 15 items under operations, 1 item under public hearings as well, 4 items under other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda as read.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. And second it? Ms. Vaughn?
I second.
Thank you. Please record your vote.
Ms. Fisher, how would you like to vote?
Aye.
7-0, motion carries. Recognitions, none this evening. Public comment. The next public comments. Ms. Dupree Bruno, please address the items of public comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a blue card, please put it in the basket or provide it to the staff in the back of the room. If you need a blue card, they are located in the hallway outside of the boardroom. The rules concerning public comment are posted at the back of the room. Public comment will be made from the central microphone in the back of the room. Please be advised that the board does not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. At the end of the public comment period, the board chair, Ms. Jordan, will address concerns or the assignment of any concerns or request to the superintendent. Board Policy 1.181 is in effect and requires everyone to wear a mask when on school board property unless you have requested an accommodation. In addition, for the benefit of other speakers, we ask that you use the sanitization supplies which are provided near the microphone after you speak for the benefit of the next speaker. Speakers and those attending the meeting are expected to act in a respectful manner. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on school district issues. Personal attacks on individuals or abusive language are prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, and booing are prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per Board Policy 1.11 and may be removed from the chambers. Per Board Policy 1.11, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20 speakers, 2 minutes if there are 30 speakers, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allowed is 1 hour. You will find a countdown on the big screens in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name prior to making your comment. Please stay 6 feet apart while in the public comment queue. And Madam Chair, there are 18 speakers.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board that did not fill out a blue card? Please raise your hand on the left side. Is there anyone on the right side who did not have an opportunity to fill out a blue card that wishes to speak? Seeing none, Ms. Dupree Bruno, could you proceed with public comments?
Madam Chair, at this time we call Tara Jenner.
Do I have 3 minutes or 2? I lost count. Okay. I'm Tara Jenner. First, let me state that the election of the chairperson is an agenda item that resulted in a board vote, and as such should have been preceded by public comment. Neither during the workshop nor during the vote tonight was such an opportunity afforded. As the chairperson sets the agenda and the tone for the school board, failure to allow public comment is a travesty. Secondly, there's a room with people in it that are isolated, as they cannot, like myself, or will not, also like myself, wear a mask. The isolation of these people, many of whom will not be speaking, fail to show to you how many there are in opposition of the mandatory mask usage with a virus that has greater than a 99% survival rate without treatment or vaccination. Isolating us prevents us from asserting our rights of peaceable assembly and the right to petition our government to redress grievances. This room is not very full, and the people in the back who could have been here with adequate social distancing are excluded. This should tell you something. Speaking of COVID, I looked through the flow chart that was created for the district to follow when addressing a student or staff who presents with symptoms. The chart emphasizes the testing of the student, but there's no process outlined in the event a parent refuses the test. It just stops at requesting the parent for permission to test. Why is that? Are you planning on basically not giving them an option and railroading them into agreeing to a test that's known to have false positives and collects DNA samples? Finally, this board also succumbed to the process of those, excuse me, I'm a little bit nervous here tonight, arguing that there's no place in our government for prayer. There's a right of all people, regardless of their profession, to practice their faith freely. The Supreme Court in Town of Greece versus Galloway stated an invocation by a government official in an official setting was not unconstitutional, as long as it did not attempt to intimidate, coerce, or convert non-believers. You really need to rethink this position, because I don't think it was an agenda item and I don't think it was voted on appropriately. As such, I will take the remainder of my time to rectify this lapse, and I encourage anyone who feels inclined to join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. In Jesus' name we pray this, and we ask that our board reconsider their position. Amen.
Wow.
At this time, Kristen Wilhelm.
Hello, I'm Kristen Wilhelm. I am speaking tonight as a teacher, and I am speaking on the topic of the proposed instructional calendar for next school year. I was looking through the dates, and I saw that one of the dates listed as a hurricane makeup day is November 11th, which is Veterans Day. And according to our tout contract, it says that national and/or legal holidays may not be used as makeup days when schools are closed due to emergency. So I'm very concerned that the school board and anybody else who was in charge of making this instructional calendar failed to look at our tout contract when making these days. Teachers work really hard. I understand continuity of instruction. Trust me, I understand that more this year more than anything, but these days were provided for us for a reason. Veterans Day has been a legal holiday since 1938, and by scheduling a hurricane makeup day on this day, it goes against our contract. So I would just like that to be addressed and to be reconsidered. Thank you.
Kathy Mayo.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Mayo, and I'm here today speaking as a concerned citizen of Lee County. So what is there to be concerned about? Let's start with the toxic behaviors exhibited at board meetings. These meetings involve adults elected to serve on the school board, as well as the district staff and speakers from the community. Some of these adults often display behaviors that violate the school district's own policies for student behavior. In a word, they bully other members. This egregious lack of respect takes the form of making belittling remarks, ignoring the concerns and opinions of other members, expressing sharp criticism of ideas and solutions expressed by fellow members, and constant attacks on some members' qualifications, intelligence, and ethics. No one expects board members to agree on all issues or to speak as one voice. A rubber stamp could do that. We elected the board to conduct the business of the school district by listening to various solutions and weighing their value, questioning policies and practices, and by developing the best solutions for the operation of this very large and diverse school system. That requires civil discourse, respectful discussions, and a level of adult maturity that these issues deserve. We taxpayers don't see enough of that. Something else is missing at these meetings. We don't see adult board members standing up for the principles of respectful behavior. By remaining silent, members show that they condone bullying and that it is acceptable in this room. It's high time that the nastiness stopped and that board members recognize it for what it is, manipulative bullying. Our students, our families, and our staff deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Courtney McGirt.
Good evening. This is actually the first time I've spoken at a school board meeting, even though I've attended more than a few times in support of Melissa Hatter. My husband was a board member of the Cypress Lake High School Athletic Booster Club, and I was a member. I will say that it is interesting since I've been coming to a few of these meetings, even just watching the agenda get approved. That was something we could not even get accomplished in a simple athletic booster club meeting. So just to, get more than 24 hours notice that a meeting was going to be held as a member was kind of a blessing. The actual reason I'm here tonight, though, is because I have made some public records requests, and today is day 45 of my first public records request. I know I sent the board an email regarding, what's reasonable time frame, and a few of you were kind enough to send my information and email on. However, the response back from that email from the person in charge of public records essentially was just copying the frequently asked questions section back to me. I do know how to do that. I have a master's, so I can figure that part out. But again, it's been 45 days, and it would be nice if some of my public records requests could be answered. That's all. Thank you.
Melissa Hatter.
I'm too short for this thing. Hi, I'm Melissa Hatter. I'm a regularly known face here, unfortunately. I was reported multiple retaliation, and I received a letter from the superintendent along with the audit. And the letter itself states that 3 investigations were conducted that were not, which was also confirmed by my public records request that no such records existed for the public slander. Superintendent stated that there was not evidence. However, the evidence is the school board meeting that is uploaded by the district onto YouTube. In my initial complaint, I had let it be known that I had the evidence that it was slander and that it was known to that person to be false, who was a district employee. And it got ignored, like, no, we don't see anything because you didn't look. You also stated, Dr. Atkins, that the email with the veiled threat from Mr. Williams had to do with something that occurred 33 days after the veiled threat. Your words were that you had reviewed the emails. Well, had you done so, there was one email, had nothing to do with something that occurred 33 days after it. That wasn't done. The investigation was stated to have occurred about the bullying incident with my daughter immediately by Cypress Lake High School. It was not done until November 6th, when Mrs. Jordan finally put you on the spot to hold you accountable and asked you if you would please speak on that behalf after my daughter and I had to come here. A month after the incident. And it still hasn't been closed, but it wasn't even started for a week after your letter stated it had been done a month before that. Those were 3 lies regarding retaliation claims, documented, and there's no excuse for that. Our superintendent needs to be ethical and a man of integrity, and you are not.
Ms. Hatter, we're not going to have any personal attacks. I do understand what your position is, and this is something that you can take on with the superintendent, but we're not going to call out
I
names.
try that, and nobody will do anything. And I asked you, I did speak to Kathleen Morgan, and she had said she would look into this, and I appreciate that greatly, just as I appreciated Mrs. Jordan at the last meeting finally holding him accountable. Thank you.
At this time, Liz Spicer and Ashley Raymond.
Hi, I'm Ashley Raymond.
And I'm Liz Spicer.
And after looking into the Wellness Wednesdays program that has been implemented, we think it's a great program, but we wanted to suggest that it be expanded to K through 12 because we think it is important that the younger students do start to get an education of mental health because we think that it's important for them to understand starting out that these are things that it's okay to talk about later on and to open up about and to kind of help break down the stigma and to avoid it in their later lives.
I mean, I'd really like to commend you guys about even making a policy for Wellness Wednesdays at all, because a lot of school boards haven't done that. But going off what Ashley said, as we know, mental health issues start very early on in life. From research, from personal experience, we know this. And when we're not educating these students about it, they're confused about their feelings. They don't know the resources to get help. And often they will find that information on the internet. And as we know, that's not always the healthiest way to figure out about these things. So we think that by increasing the mental health education to begin in kindergarten, you'll be helping these students grow their coping mechanisms and their ability to succeed later on in life. And we think it's really important just to increase the education, because like I said, 6th grade, it's great. It's too late. It's too late to start. Students are already experiencing these things, and by starting this education earlier, they'll be better prepared to deal with their issues, and yeah, they'll be better prepared for life. Thank you.
Jessica Rivas.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Rivas. I speak on behalf of my son, all our children, and generation. I speak on behalf of my human rights on being able to voice my own decision and have the ability of choice without feeling degraded for a decision I make over a child I am parenting. Who can better decide what is best for my child than the child's legal guardians? I have recently been informed that the Lee County District would like to impose obligated COVID-19 testing for all the students that have any kind of symptoms in their schools at all, without a parent or legal guardian consent. I strongly disagree on the school system trying to little by little strip away our custody over our children. And today, as a parent with a heavy heart, I stand. I strongly encourage freedom of choice. What happened to one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all? To solely have to be forced by the school to take a COVID test 19 without a legal guardian consent over a simple cough or fever, I strongly disagree with. Studies and evidence have proven that symptoms are not necessarily the case for all patients testing positive for COVID. In fact, some have no symptoms at all and are still COVID-19 positive. A sneeze or a cough can be caused by a simple allergy, or a fever can be caused by a minor cold. Please, do not label all symptoms COVID-19. Allow us the right as a parent and legal guardian to choose whether or not we want our child to be examined in your school or be picked up and taken to their intermediate doctor or pediatrician to be advised. Please do not enforce this test, COVID-19 examination, without legal guardian consent. It should be our choice to decide respectfully, with a heavy heart. Thank you again for your time.
Mr. Pre-Bruno, we could address that right now.
Thank you.
You know, we did have a workshop on this just yesterday, just this week, and the rapid testing that we're talking about requires parent or guardian approval before we're able to administer it. In fact, as a part of our process, we literally not only have to contact the parent or the guardian, but we will wait on that person to arrive at that site, get that approval before we would even administer that test. So the parent would be there prior to that being even administered. So I just want to allay people's fears. It is not mandatory. It is not required. It is offered to parents and, you know, free of charge. And then you have to, again, give your permission prior to the administration of it. And then within about 15 minutes, we should receive at least what that test says. And then based on that information, I think it arms our parents and guardians with at least more information which you can make decisions about what's best for your child.
And Dr. Atkins, am I correct that there is a waiver that will have to be signed by the parent, and the parent also has to be there during the testing?
Yes, I believe I said both those things, but that is correct. A waiver has to be signed before the administration of the test, and the parent has to be there before we administer the test.
And if I may as well, and I believe also it was, because it is rapid testing, it helps the parents and the families get that results immediately, but it is up to the family. So thank you for answering that.
At this time, we'll move forward with public comment. Sarah Abeck.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Aback, and I'm a junior at Florida Gulf Coast University. I'm here to talk about online safety. I got my first cell phone when I was 10 years old, and I remember my parents had a conversation with me about how it should mainly be used for emergencies. But other than that, I was allowed to call and text my friends. That's it. Were my parents overly strict? Well, no, because that's all my phone could do at the time. Now phones take pictures, surf the web, and they can even reveal your exact location every time you open up a social media site, like Instagram or Facebook. While it doesn't take a computer expert to understand how to turn these location services off, it's also not the easiest thing in the world to do. My mother, one of the smartest people I know, had her location sent out every time she opened up Snapchat, and she didn't realize nor know how to turn it off. Kids are receiving their first cell phone at a younger age than ever. 25% of children under the age of 6 have a cell phone. As parents, are you monitoring their privacy settings, or did you even know these settings existed? These phones are the internet in their pockets, and if your child's phone can download apps, then you've probably heard of Instagram, which according to police is the most used site for child predators. Let me tell you a story about why this is important. One day in Baltimore, Maryland, Jane Doe did not come home from school, and to her mother's surprise, the school claimed she never even arrived. The FBI started an investigation, which 4 days later led them to a ranch in Raleigh, North Carolina, where they found Jane alive, 340 miles away from home. There were several crimes committed against Jane during those 4 days, and when police found her 32-year-old abductor online, it was clear that Jane and her kidnapper had previously communicated through social media. In fact, Jane was communicating with a lot of older grown men. She was only 12 at the time. Pedophiles, like the one previously mentioned, can create fake Instagram accounts that make them appear to be several decades younger than they actually are. How do they do this? Well, they post pictures of young kids, and they claim to be those kids. And they even have followers that are children, which further adds to the illusion. I wish I could show you concrete examples of these accounts, but I know it'd be edging on legality. But just take it from me that these accounts fooled me, they would fool you, and they would most certainly fool your children. I'm here because I believe parents need to know the power of their child's cell phone. And I'm proposing that brochures are distributed annually by the school for the parents. And they would address key vulnerabilities current technologies create for your child's safety. Child predators are relying on parental ignorance regarding social media to lure their next victim. Thank you for your time.
Brenda Chavez.
God bless you and good evening. My name is Brenda Chavez. I have children in elementary, middle school, and high school. The reason I am here today is to request the monitoring of books in the school library and online. Some books encourage our children to be disobedient and disrespectful towards parents. An example is the book called The Great Tree House Wars, which is for 4th and 5th graders. Also other books that contain wizards, witchcraft, like Harry Potter, which has been banned in some states. Also the Brave New World that has too much sexual content, and also the books of Mice and Men that have racial slurs. These books also have been banned in the US, but our middle school and high school students have access to these books through their Chromebooks and their school library. They are not educational books, and many others should be examined before they reach our kids' hands. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Arturo Sanchez.
Hi, good evening. My name is Arturo Sanchez, and this is my first time here. And me as a parent, I have 2 children in Lee County Schools, so my concern is that my children, they need to start learning what they need for life. And I would like to ask to all the school boards and whoever's had the authority to stop trying to imposing mentality ways that are against personal beliefs and all all that kind of stuff that it doesn't have anything to do with their education that they need for life. They need to learn math, they need to learn history, they need to learn science. The rest of the stuff that which is personal concern about their thoughts, their feelings, their masculinity, or how they, what they like in their personal life, leave it to their parents, because we don't like them to be imposed stuff that are against our beliefs, that are against our cultures, that are against our what we believe. So this is, and I would like to ask for this magazine. It's called Scholastic. My children, they had it and they received it, and as I look at it, I don't see anything that it's good for them. Nothing to do with the school, and nothing that they need to they need. So if anyone has the same thoughts on me, I'm asking just to stop this magazine to be circulated, and that's all. Good evening.
Marco Suazo.
Good evening. My name is Marco Suazo. I'm coming to, that's my first time here, but I have a child that soon is going to start school, and I like to speak about cartoon entertainment in the breaks. Like the first cartoons, some of the cartoons they coming out right now, they're not education for children, especially the ones from the new ones. They coming out with bad words or different doctrines that they're not teaching our children correct for life. They teaching different kind of words that we're not supposed to be heard, and that little bit aged, they're not old enough to start looking all the words that some of the cartoons they coming up with. So that's all I got to say. Thank you. Have a good night.
Mercedes Price Harry.
Good evening. My name is Mercedes Price Harry. Thank you again for serving on the board. I understand greatly how difficult your job is to make everybody happy, especially in a county like Lee, which is very diverse. I've been here 17 years, and we are a very proud and diverse community, which is why I've chosen to stay here to raise my children. I want to briefly point out that I wanted to thank Mrs. Gittens. I find that you are always full of really great inquisitive questions, and you always bring up things, no matter if we're dealing with construction or curriculum, you always seem to be digging deeper. And for Ms. Giovanelli, for your common sense approach to just about everything, even the resolutions yesterday. I wanted to really stress common sense. I know you guys tend to be in your bubble. We are all in our own bubble, and I don't want to disregard any of the work that you do, because I understand how difficult it can be in your position. But sometimes it's really important that someone on the outside looking in remind you that we're here for education, and that we need to base everything on common sense. I remember growing up in the 90s, and the participation trophy was very controversial, if you remember. I never got one, only when we won. And now everyone gets one. My kids don't attend, but the others do. we started moving into this environment where it was all about feelings. Everything was about feelings. And I understand you feel like you have an obligation to make everyone feel safe, and you do. And I'm sorry for the parents that have heaped that responsibility onto you. That's totally irresponsible and unacceptable. In 2010, I remember reading a study that stated that college graduates between 2000 and 2010 wanted to make 60 grand a year and drive a Porsche, but couldn't put a nail in a wall. Dr. John Hyde, an NYU professor from the School of Business there, noticed that there were children in his college classes that couldn't handle the curriculum. He wrote a book called The Coddling of the American Mind. I highly recommend you read it. It talks about how parents went from being parents to being friends, to being helicopter parents, and to focusing on feelings. Let's focus on education. Some people will always be upset. Ms. Giddens made this point with Ms. Giovanelli during the resolution conversation. Caribbean month. We have a Caribbean community. They're going to be upset if we don't have a Caribbean month. Why have a Caribbean month? Why not just stick to education? In the 90s, everyone had to go to college. If you didn't care about the children. Now we have $3 trillion in student loan debt. That they want me to pay, right? The one that went to school by myself, worked 3 jobs, paid off my student loans, got an education on my own. The average plumber is 50. Let's focus on the future. What do we need? What does the community need? And maybe expand the vocational schools. I think that would be a really great idea. We have a great program. Expanding on common sense and sticking to education would be good for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Daniela Dye.
Good evening, everybody. Good morning, or evening. Congratulations, Ms. Jordan and Ms. Vaughn. I did not hear you guys take your oaths of office, and I hope we get to that this evening before we actually proceed with any of the orders. I wanted to ask if we could talk about a few things. Vaccinations have been brought back into school. I have been notified that the CVS has partnered with our organizations and come onto contact with every single one of our campuses. An invitation goes out. We've spoken about this before, and I want to make sure that invitation does not go out to the students. We don't talk about the shedding that happens with the vaccinations. There's 6 of them that are offered, and what the ramifications of having it on the school grounds is. We have mentioned it before. There's other people that have said it, but there was a vote that was taken prior to public comment, and that is not okay. There's a few speakers here today that definitely hit the nail on the head. Kathy was amazing. I have heard so many speakers say that this is the first time speaking, and I am sure that the ones that we heard aren't the last ones. So thank you to everybody that is showing up and putting the work in and making sure that you're speaking for your children, because nobody else is going to do it better than you. So good job for everybody. Ms. Hatter, I'm so sorry that you still don't have a resolution, and I hope you get something soon. Prayer removal. Again, I would like to bring it back. Ms. Gittens, I know you had mentioned previously that somebody said Hal Satan or something to the regards. I didn't hear because I'm stuck in the other room. But if somebody was able to say something about what they believe in, it's up to them to be able to have that choice to make the speech. Whatever the freedom of religion would be, we should be able to honor that. And if that's not the case, where we don't get to honor all of those things, then we shouldn't be having months of celebration. Roof repairs. What is going on with the roof that caved in? I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't seen anything about it in any of the videos. I haven't seen anything about it in any of the workshops. Nothing's been brought up or resolved, and I know there's been a lot of questions. Who's responsible? Is the insurance paying for it? Where's the money coming from? Are the same vendors that are doing it this time the ones that were responsible for the roof fault in the first place? What's going on with the approval of the vendors? Why are some vendors getting approved when they just got their business licenses less than 30 days ago, when the contracts specifically state that they have to be over 5 years of experience? There's fraud going on in the board. I'm sure it's going on in more places than our board, but the board has been notified, superintendent has been notified, and you're on notice. Please make sure that it is taken care of. There are offices or there are committees that are held for parent participation. Unfortunately, all of the members that are going to be a part of the board need to be appointed by the board, and one needs to be a minority for each of the appointments. I would like to have that opened up so that we can actually have more people participate in specific committees. Thank you.
Heidi Famiano.
Yes, thank you. My name is Heidi Famiano. I have a daughter in middle school. I am here representing the voice of many parents who are not here and or ignore what is happening in their children's schools. We are against the idea of teaching about LGBTQ history or anything related to it in our schools. This movement already has and uses the month of June to show their pride. This subject will alter and influence the mind of our kids, their behavior, their way of thinking. As professionals in education, I'm sure you guys know about this. And you know the impact that this could cause, that this could happen, that this could cause in our children. The curriculum in the schools should stick to academics, not about sexual preference or the problems some individuals had to go through because they chose that lifestyle. Please, kindly, I ask you, stop the indoctrination in our children. They are the future of this nation. They are the future of society. They do not need to be confused. Thank you.
Corey Dye.
Hello, Corey Dye. First, I don't know why you guys are here, but I want to thank you for coming. You guys are blue. I see you're united. That is amazing. I don't care what you're here for. It's great to see you guys. I want to congratulate, let me readjust. A big congratulations to those that made it through the election. I'm glad I get to see some of these faces and they're not new. I am very upset that you guys voted, which I think violated some laws, on the chair and vice chair prior to having public input. I'm pretty sure the public has a say in who they think should lead this board here. On to that, the demeanor that occurred thrown at Ms. Gittens, I apologize that happened to you, and belittling you about what you care about kids and things like that. I really think that was below the belt from somebody that wants to call themselves a leader and give this long list of things that a board chair should be. All of this going on what somebody should, a good leader, and then you end up saying somebody doesn't care about kids. Seems pretty crappy. I also want to thank you guys, the October 19th meeting you guys had, that Ms. Vaughn addressed the growing issues in the district with Lee Virtual, and that 2/3 of the middle school and over half of the high school are failing or haven't signed in. It's ironic that same day your guys' law team on the lawsuit said that there was no evidence that Lee Virtual is inadequate. Kind of think that's a little funny. We'll go on. The COVID testing I'll touch real fast. How is the diagnose started? And the first time you mention parents is at the testing, not at, hey, I think your kid is sick. I think that a parent should at least know that you suspect they might be COVID. Real fast, before I run out of time, we'll skip that. We'll jump into these contracts. How is it that Bo Greenwell starts a brand new company worth millions of dollars in contracts? You guys can go to our Facebook page and find that stuff. We'll skip on to that, to the Integrity Builders. They literally got insurance right before you gave them $11 million contract. I don't know. I'm curious to know, Miss Patrica, how did your buddies get on that list?
Mr. Dye.
Mr. Dye, that's not appropriate.
Yeah, she knows what I'm talking to. Find us on Facebook.
Please make sure he's out of the chambers. Luis Navarro.
I'm going to clean the mic so I'll start tonight. And these people aren't wearing masks. I really think you should wear a mask. She's right. Nobody listens. So I prefer that. Lou Navarro, 48-year Lee County resident and former Lee County school teacher. First, I will agree with that gentleman and the other lady. I called today and they said public input was going to be done first, then you were going to reorganize the board. I guess it's another one of your tricks. Shame on you. You need to redo this next board meeting and do it right. Okay, so I agree with that, and I agree with the lady that said public records, Melissa Mickey, they're not answering. They're not. You're playing games. Now, you need to straighten that out, Dr. Atkins. Shame on you. Okay, I'm not happy with the reorganization. Ms. Jordan, you never call me. I might come out of retirement and run in 2 years against you. My civil rights court case will be settled by then against the CCPD, and I won't have that to knock me out of the race, because if I was sitting in your place, this board would be shaped up. Ms. Fisher, I don't look forward to 2 more years. You sold us down the river with these additional raises to administrators, 2 security chiefs. What do we need Chief Newland and the other guy? Shame on you. You need to look at tripledippers.org. You know you're going to collapse from the top down, fall on the teachers and staff and crush them. You're so top heavy. Very sad. Let me see what else we want to talk about here. COVID-19, this is a disaster. I have to call Mr. Adam Malloy to find out who's got COVID at what school. You've changed the website 3 times now. The one today listed from DOE, it's always a week behind. You were doing better with that first one. But you know what? Too many cases. That's why you covered that up. That's a shame. I do agree. COVID test them. It's getting that bad in the Lee District, in the schools. You're right there. But like the parents, you know, hey, if they don't want to test them, send them home. They got a fever, send them home. That's what we did when I taught. The parents would send them to school sick because they had to go to work. Come on. Let's be honest, folks, with the board on that case. Now, let me see. How much is that? Oh, 32 seconds. Yeah, but I think you should resign, Ms. Fisher, and enjoy your grandchildren. I don't have that luxury. We've talked at length anyway. I'm not going to say anything else on that. Where's the budget for the half-a-cent sales tax? I've asked Public Records, and we don't have it. And I want to know why the charter schools don't get some of our half-a-cent sales tax. So you need to do this for Public Records so we don't have to bring it up to the
Thank
board.
you, Mr. Navarro. Jacqueline Perez.
Good evening, Board. I understand that there was a complaint filed recently related to bid fixing that involves several departments at the district. I'm bringing forward an additional complaint of a contract that this board will be voting on December 8th, 2020. This contract involves your IAQ vendor and your school board member from District 3. Therefore, I am respectfully requesting that this board member recuse herself from voting on that day due to conflict of interest. While we all understand showing support of particular candidates based on their agenda and objectives is acceptable, this particular behavior gave and alluded to appearances of possible statutory violations of Chapter 112. The question is, why was this vendor so interested in the re-election of District 3 school board member? History in the past has shown on your own YouTube website, Mrs. Patrica voted against rebidding the indoor air quality contract at least 2 times aggressively. It was brought up at board meetings, and she fought against other board members, disparaging public citizens whenever this particular contract was in question. Not only has this vendor endorsed Ms. Patrica through social media, he also endorsed her campaign, giving her thousands of dollars, over $4,000 in donations through different corporations. His contract totals over $20 million. On September 10th, 2020, at Connor's Restaurant, this vendor and Ms. Patrica met with Michael Thompson from the president of the Republican Club and tried to convince him and 3 other developers to support her in her candidacy, to fight her opponent. These talks included speaking about a PAC to ensure her win, and this would also ensure Ciafani's contract. These are questionable behavior that also borders on or is a violation straight of Ethics Code Chapter 112. District 3 board member has gone as far as to collaborate with this vendor to bring false ethic charges against your district board member to Giovanelli, which also should be investigated. One of the this particular district member also on November 2nd, 2020, illustrated her allegiance with stating in an interview with an online Facebook interviewer, we have a capital pot of money and we have an operating pot of money. When you think of capital, think about infrastructure, think about buildings, think about maintenance, think about HVAC, think about mold remediation. Those are Freudian slips of where she is alluding to where she wants to channel that money to. Going back to the roofing contract.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Rutt Perez.
Hi, my name is Ruth Perez, and I'm an educator here in the school district of Lee County. I do want to thank you all for everything you're doing with this weird school year that we're all going through. And I'm actually a first-year teacher, so it's been completely different from my expectation. But the point that I do want to bring up to the school board is that there are different topics that a lot of people here have mentioned as well, that parents have the decision to make how they educate their children. For example, somebody did bring up the LGBTQ community and that agenda, and how parents should be the ones that educate their children. I also have an example here of zodiac signs that was given to a student in a health class. How do zodiac signs have to do with the student's health? They were trying to allude to emotional and mental well-being, and I completely support mental health and that we should educate students, but not in the curriculum. They have a safe space to go. I know my guidance counselor at my school has worked with a lot of my students, other specialists at our schools that work with our students for that emotional and mental well-being, which is awesome. And I appreciate that they have taken that burden, like somebody mentioned, that parents have put on them. But I think that also those parents that are involved in their students' education and are involved in their students' well-being need to be able to make that decision, not I as a teacher. Not that I won't sit and listen to a student, because I will, and I love my students, but I do think that I'm not going to step into a field that I don't have parent approval. And like I said, right now, this zodiac type of thing and like astrology, another teacher was able to share that with their students, but I can't share my beliefs and how I've been able to overcome different hardships in my life with my beliefs. I just don't find that that's fair either. Like I said, extracurriculars are a great way for people to express themselves. In high school, they had like a gay straight alliance club. Awesome. If you want to be in that, great. Let students make their decision with their parents outside of schools. Don't try to bring this into our school curriculum because it's not necessary. There's other platforms that they can choose. They make their decisions with their parent involvement to be a part of that. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, that ends public comments.
Thank you. Okay, my goodness. Okay. Okay, first I'd really like to thank the parents that are here speaking and advocating for your children. We have to stay diligent and always advocate for our loved ones and our kids. That is the job of us as parents, grandparents, guardians. So I do appreciate your concerns. And we do hear everything that you have to say. So I do thank you for coming here and sharing that with us. And stay diligent with that, because that is the job of parents, to make sure that we are there for our children. Ms. Mayo, thank you very much for coming and your comments. And I know, I believe also as part of the board that we do have to work a little bit better to, to bring that respect back to the board, because I know each and every person out there, as well as we all look at each other, and we want to, treat each other with that respect. So thank you for bringing that before us. Ms. Hatter, thank you for being here, being diligent, and I know there's probably a few of us that are looking at that to see what else has taken place. Ms. McGurk, thank you as well for your comments and for being here, and we will definitely check to find out why that's taken so long. Dr. Atkins, can we, the 45 days for Ms. McGurk as far as?
And Ms. Stillwell's already on it. She's working with Ms. Lancaster to determine what's taking the length of time.
Thank you. And let's see, I don't want to miss anybody. Ms. Perez.
I do know, just pardon, they typically go in the order upon receipt, and they work themselves down. So even though some information requests might be smaller in volume, if you have a large volume item ahead of it, then that sometimes takes long. They literally take it in the order which it comes.
Right, just as if we could let people know what's taken, so that way they don't think that we're just ignoring the fact that they've asked for something, I think would be great.
And like I said, the chief of staff is already on it.
Yes, thank you so much. And Ms. Ruth Perez, thank you for being the teacher here. We really appreciate you being here first year. We want you to continue on, please. And also, a lot of people are talking about the curriculum and what is being taught in the schools. We have, and Ms. Mercedes, the same. We have openings in our committees. Ms. Dye also spoke about that. We do have openings, and we welcome people to apply for those openings, to be, to be heard. That's what it's there for. It's for the community, and we cherish to have whoever can be on there. We want you to be on there. We do not want empty seats. So please go to our website, and I know I have openings that I need to fill, and I'm sure we have other members also who have openings as well. So if you feel the need to participate, please, that is a good way to be a part of the solution and to help work on things. Mr. Navarro, did you leave? Okay. I appreciate you coming here all the time, and if you lost my number, I will give you my phone number again. We have multiple conversations, and I thank you for those. Let's see, Corday. Ms. Perez, Ms. Jackie Perez, thank you for coming here always. And we appreciate what you bring, and I understand what you're saying, but as far as a person and their candidacy, we really don't really control that, and people do have the right to have conversations with their community. And so I just wanted to thank you for always keeping us abreast of everything. Let's see, and I think that, and I hope I didn't miss anyone, but again, we do appreciate it, and I will work as hard as I possibly can as the chair of this organization, because I am here as an elected official and working here for the public. So I do appreciate each and every one of you. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Approval of consent items to be voted on. Approval of consent items. The next approval of the action items on the agenda under consent. Let's see. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business tabled items of the agenda? Ms. Giovanelli?
I have none.
Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
I have none. Ms. Gittens?
No.
Ms. Vaughn?
I have none.
Ms. Morgan?
I have none.
Okay, and I have none. Is there a motion to approve?
Ms. Jordan. Ms. Jordan, Ms.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Fisher is
Ms.
on the
Fisher.
line.
I am so sorry.
That's okay. This is Ms. Fisher. I have no tools.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Is there a motion to approve the agenda consent items? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the agenda consent items as read.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Second it? Ms. Vaughn?
Second.
Please record your votes.
Ms. Fisher, how would you like to vote?
I'd like to vote yay.
Can you vote?
I already did. I have a question real quick.
Yes, Ms. Gittens.
I just would like to ask, since we do have people in the audience, that with the consent items passing, that they are now in their positions, that the superintendent could do that sooner rather than later. Just a suggestion.
Okay, I'm sorry. Please repeat that.
Since we've approved, we approved the?
Not yet. I haven't said that yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the vote is carries. It's 7-0. Okay.
Okay, and since we have approved the consent items, which includes human resources, and we have people sitting in the audience that have been appointed as a result of that.
To move them
We have
up.
the superintendent.
Thank you for that. Superintendent, would you like to announce?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I have 4 that I'd like to announce this evening. I'll do so one at a time. The first is a transfer of Nathan Shaker from Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School to the Alva School as principal. Congratulations. Next, the appointment of Edwin Carter from Pelican Elementary principal to Veterans Park Academy of the Arts principal, effective December 1st. Next is a transfer and change of assignment. Amy Boback from Manatee Elementary assistant principal to Mirror Lakes Elementary principal. Congratulations. And our last this evening, Mary Blackman from Veterans Park Academy for the Arts principal to Lee County Virtual School franchise principal, Lee County Virtual School and Emerging Technology Programs. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, now we are moved on to a public hearing. Before closing the regular meeting and opening the public hearing, Dr. Atkins asked Dr. Atkins to present his recommendations for this evening public hearing. Dr. Atkins, please, and I know I shouldn't have read that, but I did. Dr. Atkins, please present your recommendations for this evening's public hearing items.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This recommended action is approval of the District Education Facilities Plan for fiscal year 2021 through 2040. Each district school board shall prepare a tentative district educational facilities plan that includes long-range planning for facility needs over 5, 10, and 20-year periods. The plan must be developed in coordination with the general purpose local governments and be consistent with the local government comprehensive plans. The effective date of the District Education Facilities Plan shall be November 18th, 2020.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone on the, and I apologize, this is my first time reading all this. Is there anyone on the right side?
Madam Chair, before that, you need to close the regular board meeting and then open up the public hearing.
I move to close the hearing. Oh, it doesn't say that on here, so I apologize. Okay. We will now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. As indicated, the public hearing this evening is to consider, number one, approval of the district education facility plan for the fiscal years 2021 through 2040. At this time, the public will be invited to speak. Okay. At this time, is there anyone on the right that would like to address the board? Is there anyone on the left that would like to address the board? Ms. Dyer, you wanted to address the board? Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay. Could you speak into the microphone, please?
It just turned on.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to speak to the board tonight about the workshop that we had discussing the COVID regulations and how we're going to be taking care of it in the school.
I'm sorry, ma'am, this is out of order. This particular public comment is solely on the district educational facilities plan for the fiscal years 2021 to 2040. This is not regular public comment.
I understood. I thought that this was on the board because a contract was signed this morning to go through with the COVID testing, and that was being discussed.
Ma'am, you're out of order.
No, Ms. Dye, this is just strictly regarding the approval of the district education facility plan. That's what this public meeting is about right now.
Sorry, I misunderstood. It was hard to hear back there with the delay. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that would care to speak regarding the facility plan? Okay. Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Jordan, there was another person in the other room, but they may have had the same misunderstanding, so Jen Schaefer's checking on that.
Thank you.
Just a moment.
She said we're okay. Jen just said we're okay.
Thank you. Okay, seeing none, we will now close this public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of the November 17th, 2020. Dr. Atkins, please reinstate your recommendation for this evening's public hearing items.
Madam Chair, approval for the district education facilities plan for fiscal year 2021 through 2040.
Okay. You have heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approves the district education facility plan for the fiscal years 2021 through 2040. Each district school board shall prepare a tentative district educational facility plan that includes long-range planning for facilities needs over 5 years.
Madam Chair, if you could pause one moment, I have notification that there are actually 2 individuals from the other room that wish to speak on
They informed me that there was no one.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, okay, thank you. The facility needs over 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years, period. The plan must be developed in coordination with the general purpose local governments and to be consistent with the local government comprehension plans. The effective dates of the district educational facility plans shall be November 18th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Morgan?
I move we approve the district educational facilities plan for the fiscal years 2021 through 2040.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Gittens?
Yes, I would like to amend the motion to reflect statutory provisions that there is flexibility and time frames, that the flexibility and time frames can change. In statute 101335 in section 4-2, it does state that we can make it flexible. I would just like to have that on the record. That, so I'm amending the motion, would like to amend the motion to reflect statutory provisions that there will be flexibility and time frames that can change.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
I have to have a second.
I'll second it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any further discussion?
So at this point, Madam Chair, you have the amendment that is pending. The discussion should be based on the amendment and the words that Ms. Gittens wishes to add to the original motion.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, just to explain, this is a long period of time, and I understand that the statute said that it can be flexible. We've heard that as well. I would just like to make sure that that is in the motion itself, so that we're not going down the road and saying, well, the board already voted on it. So in order to, circumvent that, I would like to have the verbiage somewhere, flexibility and timeframes can change.
Okay, is there, Mr. Giovanelli?
Yeah, I would support that because, 2040 is a long ways off, and a lot of things can happen between now and then. And I think that we have to be very flexible with this because, we could be doing Lead Virtual for a lot longer than we anticipate too. So the opportunities, it can't be set in stone. That's just that's a very long ways off. So I would support that change.
Okay. Are there any other discussion? Ms. Fisher? Go ahead, please.
Comment that, yes, I'm in favor of the flexibility clause in there, but I just want to mention that the plan is developed in coordination with local governments and must be consistent with their comprehensive plans. So I think that there is often need for change and adjustment as we go on.
If I may, through the chair. Ms. Gittens, what was the statutory reference you made?
The statute?
Yes, please.
1013, section 35, and it is number 4-2. It says, upon giving proper notice to the public and local governments, which refers to what Ms. Fisher was saying, an opportunity for public comment, the district school board may amend the plan to revise the priority of projects, to add or delete projects, to reflect the impact of change orders, or to reflect the approval of new revenue sources which may become available, et cetera, et cetera. So it is in the statute, and I just, like I said, wanted to have it reflected in the record.
May I continue?
Yes, please.
The record is the meeting that we had last time where we discussed this, and the record reflects the flexibility. I'm not sure that this is necessary. 10135 is already referenced in the public content. I'll support it because I think it's a change without a difference. I don't see how this substantively changes the motion in any way, but if it makes you feel better, then I will support it. I would also ask for in the future some advance notice so that I could review that statute myself and come to the table with the ability of not having to ask you what the statute says, but having done that research on my own. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patrica. Are there any other comments, please?
I appreciate the support.
Dr. Atkins?
Just, I'm not comfortable with a change. This is something that we're literally here at the table. These agendas are posted. I haven't had an opportunity to I agree probably it doesn't have any implication, but I don't know that. And until I do, I don't feel comfortable moving forward. Again, I think Ms. Gittens and I have discussed flexibility when it comes to all of these plans. For example, I think staff made it very clear when they presented the capital improvement plan that you really look at that first year, and those plans are pretty solid, but once you get out 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we're not even talking, like this. We're talking about just, 1 year out, 2 years out. We do make changes that we would bring before the board. So I totally understand her desire here. I believe that statute gives us the flexibility already. I don't mind making that statement in a public meeting, but I do have concerns when we when we want to make a substantial change or amendment to a recommendation without us having really the opportunity to review the implications of what that might be.
Thank you.
Those are my comments.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan?
So I would like the board attorney to comment on the redundancy of the request.
Well, the statute does speak for itself, but it's my understanding what Ms. Gittens is asking for. And Ms. Gittens, if you could you please restate your amendment to the motion?
The basis of it, what I wrote was, I would like to amend the motion just to reflect flexibility and time frames can change. And the reason I'm doing that, and I know, yes, the superintendent and I and others have had discussions about capital projects. And I know I have been told, or I've heard, and others have heard, well, this is not in stone, and it can change. But then on the other hand, and I'm not trying to be difficult, but on the other hand, we've also heard at times, well, the board has already voted on it. I do not feel comfortable voting on this for such a long period of time that if something comes up and doesn't change that we have discussed or talked about, and maybe I won't have the votes for it, but I just feel that, I've talked quite a bit recently about our priorities, and I am very concerned that to vote for something that's going to be this far out, and that it may not change. A lot of things are flexible, and I have not seen that flexibility happen. So if the board does not approve the amendment, then I will not be voting for it tonight.
Okay, so here is what my understanding is. Ms. Gittens, correct me if I'm wrong. Your motion is to approve the superintendent's recommendation of the district educational facilities plan for the fiscal years of 2021 through 2040, with the understanding that there may need to be some flexibility and that the timeframes can change.
Yes,
okay.
That's all I'm asking.
The statute does allow for an amendment to the plan to revise the priorities of projects, to add or delete projects, exactly what Ms. Gittens had said. So the statute does say that. I do believe what Ms. Gittens is basically wanting to put in the agenda item is the understanding that there may be need for flexibility and there may be some need for timeframes to change. I don't think there's any problem with that. She's not specifically restating what's in the statute.
And if I may, just basically making reference to the statute in the motion.
You added that to the motion to make reference to the statute?
I mean, if I'm saying to make it simple rather than adding verbiage, we could say make reference to statute 1013.
So, Ms. Gittens, right now, the amendment that is on the floor, correct me if I'm wrong, is the motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation for the district educational facilities for the fiscal years of 2021 through 2040, with the understanding that flexibility and timeframes can change. Is that your amendment to the original motion?
That was my original motion.
Okay, so that is what's on the floor. And at this time, if there aren't any discussion, then the board should vote on that amendment. I do see Ms. Morgan has her hand up.
I do. So, first of all, I believe we do this every year. Is that correct? Yeah, so we do this every year. This gets revised annually. Secondly, this isn't our capital plan. This is a plan that we're required to file with the state. It's not the capital plan that we use to make decisions about how we are spending our capital dollars. So I agree with the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Giovanelli?
So,
yes, Ms. Fisher?
I'll wait till Mrs. Giovanelli's finished.
and my question is really to Mrs. Gittens. This is just for public awareness, more or less. Is that my understanding, your point on this, or is it just for the flexibility But, I mean, I think it's important for the public to be aware that this could be flexible. That was my understanding.
Well, for the public also, and I can only speak for myself, there have been numerous times that capital projects and capital things have been presented, and we were told they are not in stone, and the next time we see them, they're in stone, and they're coming before the board for a vote. And I just want to be able to have everybody understand that this is a long period of time. If everyone understands that this is a statutory thing, that this is not in stone, that they cannot come back and say the board already voted on it.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Fisher, please.
Yes, and I just wanted to mention that in the certification portion of the backup material, the statute 1013.35, section 2 is mentioned.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Ms. Patrica?
Can I direct a question at Ms. Gittens through the chair?
Please.
Ms. Gittens, does the word tentative in the recommended action cover your concerns? Because, I mean, the word tentative tells the public this is not set in stone and that this is flexible.
And that is?
Recommended action approval of district educational facilities plan for fiscal years 2021 through 2040. Each district school board shall prepare a tentative district educational facilities plan.
Just so that we understand that.
So my question to you is that sufficient so that the public understands it's not set in stone?
And then
it's on the record been reflected by the superintendent and his staff on numerous occasions that this is not set in stone. And does the word tentative cover your concerns?
Thank you, Ms. Gittens, which is already stated here.
I understand what she's saying. As long as the public understands that this is not, I mean, and when you think about it, if the public looks at this list for this period of time, they could definitely misconstrue this to think this is what is going to happen for the next 40 years.
Sure.
So that's why I wanted to emphasize it, but if that's...
So then, are you withdrawing your motion?
Would tentative cover that, Mr. Pre-Bruno?
The recommended action includes the word tentative, which is, I believe, in the statute as well. It does say tentative district educational facilities plan. So it's clearly, it's up to you, Ms. Gittens, if this satisfies you, if you want to move forward with the vote.
Well, I won't be difficult as long as we emphasize that tentative and that it is tentative, defined as flexible. So I will withdraw.
Okay, thank you. So motion has been withdrawn. Now we can move on to the vote. Do I need?
Now you're back to the regular vote of the superintendent's recommendation.
Correct. So so if everybody would please then record your vote on the initial motion. Ms. Fisher? Oh, she did?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and then motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Moving on, we are at board comments and reports. Ms. Fisher, if you could do your comments, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. I'd like to begin by referring to the Booster Club, Miss Melissa Hatter situation that was brought up in public speaking this evening. And I would like to move that we refer this situation to our board auditor and our board attorney for review. to hope to bring clarification and closure to this ongoing and contested issue.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
Is that a motion? Because I will
take-
second it.
Is there a second?
Right here.
Okay.
A second.
Second by Ms. Gittens. Are there any questions, comments? Ms. Patrica?
Can I ask Ms. Fisher a question through the chair?
Yes, please.
Ms. Fisher, may I ask, are you asking for the review process as set forth in School Board Policy 1.30, where it's referred to the internal auditor and the legal, both our board attorney and legal for the district, to determine whether sufficiency exists to move on with an investigation? Is that what you're requesting here?
I'm requesting that we use our board auditor to review this as requested, as stated in their statement of work, to bring clarification and closure to this issue. And I looked at policy 1.04, sections 4A and B and 5, and also Florida statute 1001.42 and for section 12 and .43, section 2.
Yes, please.
I'm not really clear, Ms. Fisher, on what closure means, because we do have the process set forth in 1.3 that allows for the IA, the board attorney, and staff legal to determine whether legal sufficiency exists. And if legal sufficiency exists, then an outside investigation would occur. If legal sufficiency does not exist, then that's also a conclusion. You wanted the issues brought to a conclusion. Is that the conclusion you seek? I'm just not clear on what the motion is.
Okay, I think that we have had some investigations done by legal staff and internal auditor, which is still being contested by people in the public. And I think this is exactly why we were requested by statute in 2018 to have a board auditor.
Okay, Ms. Gittens.
Well,
Maybe.
Are you done, Ms. Fisher?
I just have one more comment.
Okay.
If I may just ask Attorney Dupree-Bruno to weigh in briefly.
Ms. Fisher, my understanding is that you're asking that the board auditor and the school board attorney take a look at the Hatter complaint. Is that correct? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am.
And that can fall under numerous board policies as well as the statute, because the board is ultimately responsible for all financial issues with regards to the district, which will also include booster clubs. And we also have board policy 4.32, which specifically says that the board is responsible and that booster clubs actually have to provide documentation, et cetera, to the board with regards to its books and its affairs. So I think that's well in line. And we do not know if there is a waste, fraud, and abuse issue, but 1.30 may also come up if the investigation is done after getting some preliminary information. So I think she's in her purview to make that request.
Thank you.
And may I speak now?
Ms. Gittens.
Yes, and basically that's what I was.
I'm sorry, Ms. Gittens, are you asking Ms. Fisher a question? Because we're still on.
No, I mean, it's about the same
Okay,
topic.
go ahead. Thank you.
Right. Well, Ms. Patrica mentioned legal sufficiency, and in my estimation, legal sufficiency has been determined by the district, but there is still query on that, which is why I agree with Ms. Fisher that we should take it to our internal auditors and our attorneys for lack of a better term, second opinion on the legal sufficiency of the issue.
Okay. Is there any other? Ms. Giovanelli?
So I actually have a question for Ms. Fisher as well. So I would actually support this as well, but are you asking for a forensic audit on the accounting part of it, Mrs. Fisher, through RSM?
I was asking for a review by the board auditor and the board attorney to determine whether a forensic audit would be necessary.
I support that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Vaughn or Ms. Morgan, did you have any questions?
No, I would support the request.
Okay, so I will, Ms. Patrica?
I'm still not clear on what you're asking for, Ms. Fisher. I'm not being argumentative. I'm just not clear. Are we just looking at the financial issues associated with this? Because financial issues are one small piece of what has been alleged. So I need clarity surrounding what you're asking for and what I'm approving before I can vote in support. Again, I'm not saying I disagree. I don't, review by our internal auditor and our board attorney for what purpose?
No, a review by our board auditor and our board attorney to determine whether or not further steps are needed, e.g. a forensic audit.
Did that answer your question? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and call the question then. And, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Vaughn, I apologize.
Something else just triggered in my mind. I think this issue has continued for a really long time, and it seems like there has been no resolution, and I think we need to get to that. And certainly determining whether a forensic audit needs to happen, and then perhaps having that forensic audit will put this to bed one way or the other, which I really think it needs to be resolved. And if this comes to litigation, it's going to be a whole lot more expensive for us, and not just expensive financially, but it will also be an expense where we have spent a lot of time on something that, to me, should have been resolved months ago. So I would definitely prefer, let's look at it and let's delve into this a little deeper. And I think she's just talking about, I know there have been other issues about retaliation and all that, but I don't think that's part of what Ms. Fisher's asking for. We're looking for the primary thing, which is fraud, abuse in the ledgers of this booster club.
So I want to be very, very clear with regards to the board's obligation and the superintendent's obligation. The board is responsible for the financial issues, which will include the booster club. So the board is within its purview to ask for a review by its own board internal auditor on the booster club. With regards to anything else dealing with staff, that falls under the superintendent's responsibility and not the board. So the board can ask the superintendent for follow-up questions, can ask the superintendent to explain things, can hold the superintendent accountable, but that is within the superintendent's responsibility. Anything else that deals with staff.
Yeah, and that's,
thank you for that.
That's to clarify what I was trying to express, not quite as well as you did, but that we're just looking at the financial aspect, recognizing there are other things, but just the finances at this point.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Gittens.
And I agree that our purview is to look at the financial piece of it. However, when you pull up the crabgrass, so to speak, the gist of the bullying and all of the other peripheral things stem from the Booster Club issue. So in my opinion, if we can get to the bottom of that and resolve that particular issue, then like like you said, leave the other part of it with the personnel to the superintendent. That is his purview. But if everyone, finally realizes this is what happened and this is what happened, and we can put that to bed, then the finger pointing and the retaliation would not have any substance because it would be resolved.
Correct, thank you. Ms. Fisher, would you please, I'm sorry, Ms. Patrica?
It's okay. Again, I want to ask Ms. Fisher a question as the maker of the motion. Ms. Fisher, do you have reason to believe that the audit that was conducted by the staff internal auditor was somehow insufficient or flawed, thus requiring us to take on the expense of an additional service to be provided by our board internal auditor?
I think we have a contract with our board auditor, which would not necessarily incur additional costs. But I'm not certain that the information that was provided thus far is totally adequate, because we're having so much. I'm sorry, but I'm getting an echo. I want to bring closure and clarification to this whole issue by providing a review done by our own board auditor and our board attorney to determine that the initial audit was sufficient.
The cost of this particular audit is not part of the regular SOW. You do have a budget allotted for issues that come through the whistleblower, but that is, there's nothing specifically in the SOW that says review booster club issues. However, you do have, that is contemplated in there, and they will have to provide you with an estimate for their labor with regards to this particular issue.
Okay, I understand that. Thank you.
Ms. Patrica?
That being said, I found no insufficiency whatsoever with the internal audit that was completed by our staff internal auditor. I thought the processes were appropriate from my perspective as board member. I don't have any reason to question those findings, and for those reasons alone, Ms. Fisher, I will not be supporting the motion.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Yeah, so actually I think that Mrs. Hatter has brought up sufficient questions that need to be addressed. And the only way to do that, I believe, is this is a start, and we have to address these. She's brought up very important questions that has not been answered for her. And so I think that we need to make sure that it happens. And that's what, just like I think it was somebody said, this is exactly what we have an auditor for, and in-house auditor that works for the board to handle this very subject. So I'm still in support of it this evening. I would hope that this would resolve the other issues that she has, but I believe this is a start to getting the answers that it's needed for closure. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments. Ms. Morgan?
Yeah, so I'm going to support it just because staff has essentially said that we don't have the protocols and procedures in place to conduct adequate audits, or I shouldn't say adequate audits. We don't have the procedures and processes in place so that booster clubs can be held accountable for their actions. And so I'm supporting this really to supplement, in response to the superintendent's letter, which says there are insufficiencies. And I think we as a board have a responsibility to identify what they are and make certain that they're addressed. And so I'm looking at this less as a forensic audit than as essentially a system or an operational audit. So anyway, that's why I'm supporting it. And that may not be, yes, it does incur an additional expense, But I think that the questions raised and the comments made by the superintendent warrant the expense at this time, unless it's outrageous. I think we do need to get some sort of estimate. So those are my comments.
Based on Ms. Morgan's comments, I would like to make a recommendation to the board. If you're going to delve into this and incur this expense, perhaps it would be helpful for your board auditor to take a look at these internal accounts across the board and provide some recommendations for strengthening and some helpful tips to staff to be able to strengthen these booster clubs and the internal accounts that they're using, as well as, of course, specifically looking at Cypress Lake.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Giovanelli?
And actually, this is a question for Mrs. Bruno. Wouldn't she be an actual whistleblower, even though we didn't have the policy in place at the time that she made her initial complaint? I believe in June or July or whatever it was. So we didn't have the actual whistleblower, but wouldn't she still? And this would fall under our whistleblower policy that we put in place, and so I don't understand why this wouldn't follow that procedure. And second, I think it's important that we correct our policies. That's what we are, as policymakers. So if we are lacking in that, that's something that as a board that we need to address and do. And the only way to do that is to identify and acknowledge the mistakes that we made and correct them. And you can't correct them without having this audit, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ms. Fisher, if I may come back to you, could you restate your motion, please?
Yes. Yes. I move to have the Booster Club Hatter situation reviewed by our board auditor and board attorney.
And I second
Okay,
it.
hearing, thank you. So hearing what Ms. Fisher says, seconded by Ms. Gittens, now we have to have a hand vote.
I'm sorry, Ms. Jordan, repeat what you said.
I said now we have a hand vote because we cannot vote. Correct?
And I see Ms. Morgan has her hand up.
Thank you. So everybody in favor?
I have a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I want to amend the motion.
Okay.
To include recommendations for the board with respect to control and management of internal fund accounts.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Okay, so
now you have an amendment to the motion. If you could restate the motion with the amendment, and then if there aren't any more discussion, you can vote on that amendment.
Okay, Ms. Morgan? What is the motion?
What are you looking for?
The motion, your amended motion.
My amendment was to whatever Ms. Fisher said, and review of internal account practices and accountability for internal accounts.
Okay, all in favor? Do you have a question?
I'm sorry.
Madam Chair.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but did you answer my question? About her being a whistleblower.
Oh, the whistleblower. So the whistleblower policy really applies to, it's really triggered because of the fact that, I understand what you're saying. You're talking about her daughter having some retaliation. Is that what you're referencing to, where it would trigger? Because
that's
normally, okay, because the whistleblower policy really is for staff.
Right.
So if staff feels like they want to make some type of complaint and they're fearful of retaliation, they can pull the whistleblower policy. I think this does not really fall in line of our whistleblower policy that we have enacted. I do understand that there's been some other allegations with regards to Ms. Hatter's daughter. That's something that's completely different. So, I mean, because understand that the whistleblower policy prevents your superiors from firing you or from doing anything else to you on your job and preventing you from advancement, those types of things. That's why we have this particular whistleblower policy.
Yeah, or the retaliation. That
Or
was,
the
I guess that was
retaliation.
what I was really, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So we will go back again for the vote on the, Ms. Patrica?
Well, I didn't know if we were going to have comment on the amendment. I'm sorry, but I'm not, my brain is in chaos when things come up at the table last minute, as you are all very well aware. It's really difficult for me to wrap my mind around the fact that we've hired an internal auditor to put together a risk assessment of the district, and now we're stepping outside of what the recommended plan was by the internal auditor because of a single complaint by a single person in a single school. When the internal audit that was conducted by staff showed no major wrongdoing by staff in this regard. I'm not.
I think it goes back to what Ms. Morgan was saying, if it's my understanding from the board, that not only is there a concern with regards to the particular issue at Cypress Lake High School that seems to be ongoing, that Ms. Hatter continues to have concerns and has requested a review of the internal audit. But in addition, there were some concerns with regards to the control and management of the internal accounts. So I believe what Ms. Morgan added to the motion was, yes, we will review the Cypress Lake issue, but also let's go ahead and review the internal accounts, management and control of those accounts to see if there's any recommendations from the board's auditor to strengthen those finances.
Thank you. I understood what Ms. Morgan was asking for. Those are my comments.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to remind the board members that I did send a memo in advance of making this motion.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn?
And one more thing on this. It hasn't been a single individual that made the complaint. There have been several people from Cypress Lake who have stepped up either at the board or who have emailed us as a board. Secondly, regardless of how the Cypress Lake issues turn out, there's obviously some, as Ms. Morgan referenced, there are obviously some problems in the way, in general, these booster clubs are run, and I believe most all of the schools have booster clubs, and it behooves us as a board to solve this and in a way use what's happening or what happened at Cypress Lake as a springboard to all of these other issues that if it's happening in one place, you can pretty well guarantee it's happening elsewhere, and it behooves us as a board to solve this.
Ms. Gittens.
I know it's just one more, but I have to comment on the, just one person. It is not. I know of several families and several students that were also bullied, and they were, some were fearful of coming forward because of retaliation, and some have left their clubs and their sports events and stopped, running track or doing whatever it is they do for fear of retaliation. There's been retaliation by even some of the coaches and teachers in school talking about these students. So this is more far-reaching than just one person saying, I stubbed my toe. It's a lot more far-reaching than that. And so I think we need to just go ahead and take the vote.
I just want to make sure that we know what the motion is.
Right, it has nothing to do with retaliation.
So
please repeat.
This is what I have for the motion. If the board would please correct me if I'm wrong.
Thank you.
It's a motion for a review by the board auditor and school board attorney on the Booster Club Hatter matter situation and a review of the control and management of the internal accounts.
Yes.
That is correct. That's what I...
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Based on that motion, I will now call for a vote, a hand vote.
Refresh my recollection, was there a second on the amendment?
Yes, there was, and that was Ms. Gittens.
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry, Ms. Vaughn.
So at this time, we need to have a vote on the amendment, which is the addition of the review and control and management of the internal accounts.
Correct. Can I have a vote on that, please? Hand vote. All in favor? Aye. Ms. Fisher? Aye. Thank you. Any opposed? Okay. 6-1.
So now at this time, you will vote on the full motion, which is a motion for a review by the board auditor and school board attorney on the on the Booster Club Hatter Matter Hatter situation and review the control and management of the internal accounts.
Thank you. May I have a show of hands? All in favor? Ms. Fisher? Aye. Thank you. All opposed? Okay. Carries 6-1. Thank you. Ms. Fisher, do you want, I'm sorry.
I just want to be very, very clear that this is about the Booster Club, and the board does not have any purview with regards to staff. And I want Ms. Hatter to understand that we do not have any purview with regards to staff. That is completely left to the discretion of the superintendent.
Correct. It's just for financials. Thank you.
Can I ask a question on that one?
Well, the motion is carried. Let me get Ms. Fisher to finish hers, or is that pertaining to?
Well, just on what she just said, I have a question.
Okay, please.
So can we, I know it's the superintendent's job, but can we motion to direct the superintendent to look into it?
So I will say that I know personally that the superintendent has spent hours on this matter, and that staff has spent hours on this matter reviewing everything. I know that I have had conversations with the superintendent. He's been very forthcoming as to what has been found or not found and what the staff's position is. Because Ms. Hatter has now requested a review of the matter in terms of the Booster Club, the only other place for her to be able to get a review would be now with the board's employee in terms of the board auditor and the school board attorney. So I will continue to work with the superintendent. We have a good flow in terms of communication, and I'm sure if anything else comes up that deals with staff, I will bring it to his attention and he will report back to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Puri-Bruno. Ms. Fisher, will you continue with your comments, please?
Yes, I will. Thank you very much. I would like to congratulate all those in new administrative positions. And I would like to again thank the board for the past year and look forward to continue to work with the board and staff for the remainder of my term and to support all efforts to meet the mission and vision of this district. Everyone home safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Ms. Giovanelli?
Thank you. Okay, so I actually wanted to acknowledge the young lady that mentioned about cybersecurity. I know that it's very important to the district, and social media has issues. I have children, and I understand. So I know that our safety and security is very diligent with that. So I just wanted to kind of address that because I know it is very dangerous for students. And I want to just thank you for bringing that awareness to us. I also wanted to ask about, one of the teachers mentioned about the calendar. This is for the superintendent. On November 11th, the Veterans Day, is it a violation of the union contract? Because, I mean, that's not something we would really know, so I just want to kind of address that. We had to use that just recently, the Veterans Day, so I thought it was kind of, and I had a lot of teachers and actually parents say they had planned doctor's visits and as you know that was their time off. So I just wanted to, and then they had to have a hurricane makeup day, which wound up being another hurricane day, kind of. So can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that Veterans Day, I believe, is a recognized holiday in the TALC contract. However, the instructional calendar is developed in bargaining situation. You have the SPALC and the TALC members at the table, so they were well aware that Veterans Day is something that's in their contract when they bargain that instructional calendar, and so that was ratified and approved.
Okay.
So, and again, as I said earlier to anyone, we do approve the instructional calendar and put that out there, including hurricane makeup days, and so again, encouraging people to be aware of what those days are when you're making plans, understanding that we typically go with the first available day, and that was the first available day to the district.
Great. So thank you. And then I just want to congratulate the new administrators and the positions that they had as well, and staff. I know that everybody is working very hard through this very difficult times. And I just wanted to also mention that I look forward to serving with this board. I think that we can do great things if we respect each other. And I think that we need to listen to our community. They're watching, and we need to lead by example and setting that and respecting each other. And I will definitely be expecting that from all our fellow board members. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Ms. Giovanelli. Ms. Patrica?
Thank you, Ms. Fisher, for your year as chair. I appreciate your service as always. I want to congratulate Ms. Jordan as our new chair and Ms. Vaughn as our new vice chair. I did just come back from FHSAA for 2 days of board meetings. They are moving ahead with winter sports schedule with the understanding that schools and districts may be forced to pull out of state championships, and so they have given the executive director the right to waive the minimum game requirement in order to get into the state championship series. They did successfully complete state championship series in bowling, swimming, and diving, cross country. I'm gonna forget sports. All of the winter sports except football, where they're currently looking for a venue that's large enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people socially distanced with masks on, and they are very close to an agreement there. Finally, I want my board members, my colleagues on the board, to know that I have ordered a keyboard muffler so that I can type without sound. I apologize. This is how my brain works. My brain works best with a keyboard at my fingertips, and I've gotten the message loud and clear. It annoys you. I physically went to 4 different stores today to find one, and I couldn't find one. So I ordered one online, and I hope it fits. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gittens? Okay, thank you, Ms. Patrica. Congratulations to all of my cohorts here that are back with us, and we can continue on with our work. And congratulations to the new chair and vice chair. A couple of things that I wanted to mention. I noticed in the last couple of meetings there has been public comment about the prayer in our meetings, and I hope that those that brought it up had watched the workshop where we discussed it and the rationale. But each time someone stands up and talks about it, it was not a very easy decision. And I am thinking about your comments and what everyone has said. I'm the last one to think we need to take any spiritualness out of our job, what is left. But I may bring that up in a workshop again to discuss it. Advisory boards, yes, we are desperate for people, and you just have to go onto the district website and go to leadership, board, and advisory boards, and you just fill out the application of the choices that you want to join. The East Zone is happy. The East Zone has 3 new leaders, and we so look forward to working with Principal Boback, Shaker, and Carter. So welcome to the East Zone. There were a couple of questions about the process of appointing our new, selecting our chair and vice chair. And I don't know if, our Attorney Dupuy Bruno, as far as I know, that's the process, that we start this meeting, and because the last meeting was the last meeting for that particular chair, which would have been Ms. Fisher. So in order to proceed with this meeting, the first thing we do, which we did the last 2 years that I've been here, is to elect the officers so we can move forward. I don't know, Attorney Dupuy Bruno, is there any place for public, input on that, or?
The statute that governs the reorganization of district school board is Florida Statute 1001.371, and there is an Attorney General opinion that also states that it's left to the board in terms of their reorganization. If the board wants to have public comment prior to the vote, then that's a policy the board can enact, but it is not something that is mandated by statute.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then finally, last Wednesday, and it just happened to be Veterans Day, and we had school, and then a storm decided, the Eta, Beta, Zeta, one of them. And I want to give kudos to all the staff at district office, at the schools, at transportation, because it was flawless as far as our understanding. By I think was 2:40 something in the afternoon, Superintendent.
Yes, ma'am.
Every student had been delivered successfully and safely, and without incident. So I just that's a tribute to the district to show how all hands on deck we can make sure that our children are safe and secure and taken care of. And I always want to say to our teachers, especially, I heard a couple of you speak this evening, yes, teachers, hang in there. It's a transitional and a difficult time for everyone, and I will never forget back in the end of March when we first started all of this with COVID and all, and I had made the statement that education as we know it will never be the same. And I was hoping I wasn't true, that I wasn't telling the truth, but it is. We have retooled, revised, and we continue to do that to find better and smoother ways to make sure that all children are educated. And I just wanted to say lastly that I finished 2 years. I'm halfway through, and have learned a lot. Have learned a lot from individuals, from just everything that we have to do. And it is my hope and prayer that it just gets better as we go along. And thank you. That's my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. Ms. Vaughn?
Thank you. I wanted to make a couple references to speakers tonight, and the first is that I think it's really great that we had so many people that were here for the first time and expressing their views, because lots of times it was a variety of views, and lots of times we'll have an issue that comes up, and it's not surprising then that we have speakers on both sides, and we just hear about one thing, both sides, which is also important. But I think to get fresh perspectives and from brand new speakers to public comment is a great thing. And I want to particularly, I think Ms. Giovanelli mentioned, and I'm not sure if I got her last name right, Sarah Abeck from FGCU. What wonderful information, and having a couple teenage grandchildren. I worry a lot, and I know her parents, their parents worry a lot about, and, you know, kind of look over to see what the kids are doing and who they're talking to and all of that. But things happen so quickly, and it's truly frightening, the kinds of things that these, and I'm going to say these children, because they're our children, and so many start, you know, the story she told, a 12-year-old. I loved her, and I don't know what we have. If we have pamphlets, if we have in all the wonderful programs that we have to help parents with issues like this, that if we have anything that really gives detailed information about some of the things that that Ms. Sarah said in speaking to us. So maybe going forward, we can take a look at, maybe somebody can give us a short report on what do we have in line on the cell phones, because we've had even bullying incidents, and there's so many things that I think we need to take a look at as a school district and be helpful in any way we can to educate the kids and educate their parents on that. I too want to give a shout out to our teachers and thank them for being, so I'll use the, instead of my word flexible, agile in as we have begun the second quarter of this year, and keeping in mind that many of our teachers have had quite an influx of teachers and of students in their face-to-face classrooms, and so they're having to get to know new kids face-to-face. There's been an influx of many students from Lee Virtual School, and that has created challenges for our teachers, because as was already discussed here at the board table, we offered that opportunity to students who, for whatever reason, weren't prospering, weren't doing well with the Lee Virtual School, but the teachers and the schools now are having to come up with ways of giving these kids grades. And however you cut it, teachers, whether they're doubling scores, whether they're giving tests, I mean, it's a challenge for those teachers, and it's a whole lot more work. And teachers are also having now to take a second look at grades from the first quarter. And I have heard from, and most of my teacher friends are high school teachers, but they definitely are feeling the strain of the workload. So personally, I feel like anytime we can send out kudos to the teachers for their agility, it's really important. And finally, congratulations to our 3 board members who were reelected and were sworn in officially tonight. I know there have been issues on how we work as a board, but the fact that we haven't changed, that's either a wonderful thing or not. I hope that it's a wonderful thing, and we've learned more about being accepting of one another's particular strengths and also particular ways of doing things. You know, time for a new start with that. I want to congratulate Ms. Jordan for being selected as our board chair. I look forward to working with her, and I want to say thank you to, I'll say to all my board colleagues, even if you didn't vote for me. I'm honored that you have put your trust in me, and I don't think I won't let you down in that. So that's really all I have to say tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan, please.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to compliment Lauren Stillwell for her leadership on COVID, the COVID response, and she's been essentially managing that since it began. But I think that today, when the County Commission approved the distribution and the costs associated with the distribution of the testing kits, was sort of a capstone of her effort to work internally and externally to do the best that we can do for kids and families in this situation. For those of you who want to understand how this testing will work and what the parameters are and how parents are involved, I encourage you to look at YouTube for yesterday's meeting at 1 p.m. There was a lengthy presentation on exactly how the process would work and what the responsibility and opportunities of parents and guardians were to participate in that process. If you have any questions, I think that's a great review. So I just wanted to compliment Lauren, because I think she, working with Lee Health, has done a tremendous job. I did ask the superintendent to comment on the status of the hotline tonight, because we got a complaint from someone regarding a contract, and it seemed to me that that was a topic that should be going to the hotline and not to the board for response. So I was curious about where we stand with respect to the hotline.
So, board members, I'm happy to announce that our hotline is actually officially up and running. We had some challenges with the retirement of a representative from Lighthouse, but Dr. Pruitt stayed on it and was able to make contact. I mean, and I have to give her credit, she had to really get on it, and she did, because she hadn't gotten responses several times, and she had to really push forward to get one. But once she did that, they were very accommodating. So we have a number, we have a website. I've checked it personally. It's myself. It is up and running and working. I thought it was good. Ms. Lancaster was going to get it on the website tomorrow, but actually it is actually live right now. So, so you can go to www.leesschools.net/ethics_hotline, and then also there's the phone number there as well. So that is some good news, and I'm very happy to report that.
Thank you.
May I ask a question about that?
Yes, please.
It's great that it's on the website, but a lot of people do not regularly go to the website. So what I'd like to know is how this has been pushed out to all of our district employees.
Thank you. I neglected to say that.
Oh, okay.
Before this meeting, an email, in my understanding, an email did go out to all our district employees that had this information on it. I have the letter and everything. It explains the scope, gives the procedures, the numbers, including numbers in, if you have different languages. So, it's pretty comprehensive. So that's gone out to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan?
No, that's it for me. Thank you.
Is it for you? Okay. Ms. Gittens?
I know, just one more. And I had that to mention too, because I saw the email. And as far as a governance team, I really think that we should all reach our hands around and pat ourselves on the back. This was a tough thing, and it took a while to do, but I think we should all be very, very proud that we got this hotline across the finish line. And thank you all for what everybody put into it. And thank you, staff and Dr. Pruitt, for getting it started. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Okay, and for my comments, Ms. Morgan, thank you. definitely agree. Ditto on what you said about Ms. Stillwell. I really, really appreciate what she does. Actually, I appreciate what each and every one of the teachers and staff of this district, our family, what they do. And the community members are seeing that as well, and they're uplifting a lot of the staffs at the different schools. We have a Gussie Girls Project that just delivered 35 pizzas to Dunbar High this week. We have the Sunshine Committee at Franklin Park that's celebrating Kindness Day with spoiling the teachers and the staff there by giving them breakfast and just showing them a small thing of appreciation, because everybody needs that, just a thank you for everything that you all do. So I just want to share that. I did have the opportunity with several other people that's sitting up here with me to go to Tanglewood this past week to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And with that, they created a time capsule, and it was kind of strange when you're seeing the time capsule and you're seeing them putting masks in there and gloves and everything that you would never imagine is going into this time capsule. And what I thought was very different, the principal there, she counted how old she was to make sure she's going to be there when it opens up. So in 25 years, she's hoping to be here to go back there to the school to reopen it to see what's in there. Also, we've been getting a lot of donations are still coming in by the community members who are making masks. So Ms. Vaughn, your mission for the mask went well beyond your count. Just wanted to let you know that. And I have to apologize if I did miss anybody on this. I'm trying to write everybody's names down and write down all the notes that you are saying when you're speaking. I do apologize. And the three young ladies, I really appreciate you all coming here and speaking. That is on the mental health and in the online safety, because that is definitely important to each and every one of us. I would like to congratulate also the new administrators and their new positions. I think that we're moving forward and it'd be great. I'd like to thank Ms. Fisher for your leadership, and you've always taught me a lot, and I appreciate that. Congratulations to our re-elected officials. I'm excited about working with everybody again. And Ms. Vaughn, congratulations. I definitely look forward to working with you. And I would just like to thank those who voted for me and those who did not. I cannot do this position without each and every one of you that are sitting here at the table. Yes, at the table. We all have a seat at this table. And together, we can start the healing and start working together to really get this district where we need to take it. And I know that we can do it because I have confidence in each and every one of us. So I just want to thank you again for having me here, and I will do my hardest to make everybody proud. In saying that, I'm moving on to Ms. Dupree Bruno.
Sometimes board members, the backstory is very interesting. So I also want to congratulate Ms. Stillwell on a job well done, because she had a very high hill to climb, and she did get a lot of pushback from staff, including myself and the legal team, in terms of wanting to protect the district and respect parents' rights. We took all of that into consideration and came up with some very novel ideas to bring this to the table today. So there were a lot of hours, a lot of meetings, and Ms. Stillwell led the charge and really did a phenomenal job working not only with Lee Health, but the Department of Health, with the county to make this happen. So I'm very happy to congratulate her on that. And I also want to, sometimes we forget the legal team, that Mr. Williams, Ms. Schroed, and Mr. Holloway, and all of their input on all of these very hard times sometimes with regard to COVID-19, on all of the legal issues, to include this COVID-19 testing. So I want to recognize the legal team as well. That ends my comments.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Atkins?
Okay, board members, I apologize for late hours. Just have a couple items that I need to go into a little bit of detail about, just to give you an update. First of all, we did receive Bonita Elementary structural analysis, and so I have had an opportunity to read the report, as has, I know, Dr. Savage. We are going to be working with staff, Mr. Rickenbacker, to take some next steps. The first next step will be we've asked for a specific meeting with ADG, which is the architectural firm, just to follow up so we can ask additional questions before we bring the board options in terms of how we are going to address Building 1 there of the elementary school and the rest of the building if needed. In addition to that, we continue to work on the roof collapse. So just to give you a little bit of an update there, we've been working with not only our insurance carrier, but Dr. Savage has reached out to the Inspector General to just do some consulting, and what we want to do is potentially go down and get a third party to give us an evaluation, so he is continuing to work on that. I do appreciate the lighthouse and the hotline being brought up this evening, so we were able to get that across the finish line, and I think the board does have a lot to feel that it should feel good about, not only with that, but also there's a number of policies that went along with this, and establishing a board auditor, which is not an easy task. So that is something to feel good about, and look forward to seeing how that operates. We had some questions regarding one of the board agenda items that was pulled this evening. We also had some public comment on that one tonight as well. And so I did meet with staff. Staff has been meeting as it relates to just giving me some background as it relates to that, the bidding process and so forth, and we'll be moving forward with a, just a report out to the board once we know more. I did get a pretty good, some pretty good information from Dr. Desimores. It certainly helps me feel a little bit more comfortable about the role of staff in all of this. Based, when you look at the email, then you look at the other portion of it. But I do think that there is a need for a little bit deeper dive, and so we're going to be doing that as well. I really do appreciate the recognition of Ms. Stillwell's efforts. I think she continues, just in the role of Chief of Staff, to do a phenomenal job, but she has literally been pulled really out of that role and put in charge of running this whole pandemic effort on behalf of the district, which is not easy because you're having to work with all divisions and you have to work with a lot of community partners. I can assure you she is on the phone constantly or in meetings constantly, just working to persuade people to jump aboard whatever initiative that we are trying to get, whatever we're trying to get done as it supports this pandemic response. So that is one of the many reasons why I think our school district has done such a remarkable job at responding to this, but we could not have done it without her efforts, so I really do appreciate that. And Mr. Pontius always gives me grief every time I see him for that steal that the district accomplished from our media partners. The last thing is just to congratulate, first of all, our board members that won re-election. I do, really do think that it gives us an opportunity as a team to continue the work. That's something that I like, is continue the work. I think that Ms. Fisher, as chair this last year, I think we continue to make progress as a team under her leadership, and so I want to congratulate Ms. Giovanelli, Ms. Morgan, Ms. Patrico on re-election. I also want to congratulate Ms. Fisher on a job well done, and congratulate Ms. Jordan on your election as chair, and Ms. Vaughn on your election as vice chair. So I think that's really good. It really represents a diverse view that has been selected for those two positions, which is a good thing, I think, for this board. So I'm really looking forward to the next year. Already working on the white paper for Envision 2030 and the implementation plan, and excited about the work so that we can go forward and accomplish great things with the school district. That's all of my comments this evening. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Okay, the next scheduled meetings of the board. On December 7th, there will be a board workshop at 1 p.m. Also on Tuesday, December the 8th, there will be a board briefing meeting at 1 p.m. as well. An action meeting at 6 p.m. At this point, having no further business to come before this body and seeing no objections, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.